Hello people, Angelo here. Welcome to a video where I talk about Undisputed. Because in all honesty, I've had a lot of negative stuff. I've constantly made fun of the movement, but I've never really said how I would improve the game, you know? And I feel like that it was kind of silly of me to constantly complain about stuff and never actually give ideas how to fix it, you know? Like, it seems kind of silly, you know? Like, you wouldn't, like, give ideas on how to improve the game. So I decided, you know, let's pick up some ideas on how to make the game better. First of all, I would just straight up off the box fix damage. Like, I'm not sure how you can fix damage, but I would just suggest find some way to fix that. Whether it's I would say one of the major things is remove side-based damage. Just make it head damage, body damage, arm damage, chest damage, and stuff like that. Or just body, head, and arms. And then have the side-based damage be like cuts and bruises. Because the current system just encourages, like, the most strangest of spams. Like, you've seen the early one side hook spam and stuff. I feel like it should just reward someone for targeting with very clean shots and being clean instead of, like, hitting one side over and over. So if someone hits, like, a flawless combo, they should be rewarded for a flawless combo. It should be treated like something effective. But there is also the other thing, and that is that no fighter should be able to take 95 power shots. Like, I don't care. You should not be able to take 95 power shots. If you eat 95 power shots, you should be knocked out. You should be knocked out by the 50th power shot. Like, that many power shots in a single fight is not only absurdly high, it's completely ridiculous. You should not be able to eat that many power shots, I'm just going to be honest. In truth, you should be able to throw that many power shots, especially in heavyweight, because you should be completely gassed. But that's another thing to talk about. Is like I definitely think certain punches, like upcuts to the body, should cost more stamina to throw, especially considering they will disencourage the spam of them, because you're just going to be gassing yourself as much as your opponent if you're just willy-nilly throwing like it is without mixing it. So if you're going to go like straight upcut to the body, I would say that's probably more respectable than just going upcut, upcut, upcut. And with changes to the damage, you can make that a more viable strategy than just spamming upcuts to the body. Or like spamming hooks like the game just showed on screen there. And that definitely could change around, I would say, the feel of the damage of the game. Of course, there'll be other stuff you'd have to do on the side, but that's just the base, like, premise of what you could start working on and slowly improving. Like, you know, a ground layer. A thing that should have been the ground layer in the first place, which is that punches should not like, it should just be like, it doesn't matter where you hit on the head. If you're hit enough in the head, you should just drop. Let's be honest. That's just how physics work. That's how biology works. You take enough trauma to an area, like, in general, it doesn't have to be a particular side of the area. It could be anywhere. You take even a single shot, it can end the fight. Like a liver shot, like, get a clean liver shot should be a high risk of ending the fight. Like, if someone's able to step around you and hit a body hook. Especially like a power body hook. You should not be able to eat power body hooks like that. Like, you definitely should be encouraging more people to block their body. Because that's another thing. Like, I would say one of the biggest issues with the uppercuts to the body is that they bleed through blocks so heavily. So maybe decrease the amount they bleed through blocks could also fix a lot of the issue, because they won't be able to just spam them and, like, bleed through the block and get a knockdown. I feel like that would be a good idea. Because currently their level to bleed through blocks is way, way, way too high. I feel like that's the biggest issue with the uppercuts to the body, because blocking them is kind of pointless. You're more better off moving backwards from them in the long run. Especially if someone's, like, getting you with them from the beginning of the fight to the end, you know? And then, of course, there's on the opposite end of the spectrum, there's movement. And in all honesty, it's actually quite easy to fix movement, I'll admit. Like, actually extremely easy to fix movement. Doesn't really make it cost stamina to move too much. So let's say you're from round 1 in regular movement, moving to round 12. And you're not really standing still much. So you're constantly moving backwards. You only stop to throw punches. You're never, like, slipping anything. You're never, like, being careful. You're never, like, clinching or anything. You're just moving around, throwing lots of punches, step back straight constantly. We'll make that cost more stamina. Oh, sorry, my throat went weird. Make that cost stamina. So let's say regular movement, constantly moving around with little planting, little breaks. Make that be like, at the end of the fight, you lose around about a quarter of your stamina bar in total over the round. So that's how much it'll cost from round 1 to round 12. If you play perfectly, like with constant movement, you'll lose like a quarter of your stamina bar. which I think is a fair trade because it's like, in real life, you don't see people just walking around the entire fight at full speed. Maybe add in an extra mode where like increases power punches, which is like this heavy plant slow walk mode where you like click the power punch button, like so that'll be right, would it be trigger or bumper? I think it's bumper, yeah, right bumper or R1 and the button and up on the D-pad, and that could enter like maybe a walk mode where you don't really lose stamina, but you also like get stronger punches to even it out because you're moving slower, so you don't lose as much stamina. Your punches are stronger, but you move slower. That could be an interesting feature to add on extra variety. So people might be willing to like sacrifice the speed to get the harder hits, and that would be a good thing. Like with Wilder, like it would be a realistic thing to have with Wilder. Because let's be honest, Wilder's not got the best movement, so maybe making him have that mode and like so his power shots are more deadly definitely could fix the damage issue as well without having to change like regular damage, you know? In addition, of course, I would make loose movement. If you're just walking away the entire fight, I would say half your stamina bar. Just because you can't be in 12 rounds of loose movement. It should not be a thing. It should be a thing you maybe do for a round or two, you get out, and then you're back in regular movement for 6 rounds, and then maybe a round or two, then you're back at regular movement for the rest of the fight. That sort of it should be how loose movement is used, like a sort of like a thing where you want to get like that extra like edge of slip and like sort of get it on from the outside a bit. You shouldn't be able to just be in loose movement 24/7. Like, I'm just gonna be honest there, it does look kind of ridiculous where you see Fury like doing the Ali arm like outwards thing, I forget what it's called, where you just see him doing that 24/7 and you see him like walking around in circles when, let's be honest, Fury's more of a clincher. Even like in his prime, you could tell like he's a bit more of a guy who sort of knows the limit of his reach, and he's not a guy who just sits there spamming from the outside like straight punches. He doesn't do that. He's very much a guy who knows the limit of his punch. He can plant and throw very good punches from good range. Like, so it does seem very weird that the principled way people play him is by walking backwards the entire fight, which is kind of silly. So I definitely feel like these changes could definitely improve overall game mechanics. Of course, I would also add a system where if you're on the ropes, you find it harder to like move around, so you have to slip punches to try and like weave your way out, or you have to punch your way out or something. Like, make it a bit more than just walk to the side and you're out, because that feels like where it is now. Does people put their guards and they walk to the side, and unless like they're playing a really bad character or you're playing like a really fast character, you really can't keep up with them. Especially if they just trigger loose movement for the period to get out. It is quite ridiculous, and it very much makes it hard to trap someone. Same with the corner, which should be even worse than being trapped on the ropes, let's be honest. It's very weird how like they're very clearly squished into the corner. There's no space to my left, no space to my right. And an opponent could still just walk to my right and go. And it's like, dude, there's literally no space there. How did you fit? But that's sort of my reaction, because it looks like my character just manually moves on his own, because I'm not even holding the movement stick. And it looks like my character just manually moves on his own to like allow the guy to get out when he moves to the side, which is kind of ridiculous. In addition, I would say stop like resetting like our character's turn when someone slips around us. It should be on us to like reset our character's turn by moving the stick. Like, if you're planted and the person's like got right to your side, don't make your character immediately move to the side to face them. It feels like it's kind of goofy. Also, if someone clearly is punching around your around your guard, like, at least with power shots, make it count. Like, if it's a regular punch, whatever, but if it's a power shot and they're clearly hitting, or it's a counter punch and they're clearly hitting you and your head's clearly reacting, please just have the game detect as a hit, because it looks ridiculous when you're clearly hitting them and the game's just like, nope. It looks really goofy. But overall, I would say the game isn't in too terrible a state. It just needs these fixes. And overall, I think that could fix most of the issues. I would also like get rid of those weird, wild swinging hands when moving forward, or because and backwards. It looks really silly. Like, I would make it sort of like step back punches should be you flick the stick and then click the punch, and now have a step back version. Same with like step forward punches. So if you're not doing that, it just does regular punches. I feel like that would improve the fluidity and make the gameplay a lot better. So you sort of go from a punch into an instant plant sort of thing, which some might say is taking the need for a player to let go of the stick out of their hand. But let's be honest here, it's very hard to throw combos in this game without having those weird lunge punches just randomly pop in. And I feel like that should be more like you flick the stick forward and get that kind of punch, because otherwise it just it just looks silly in my opinion. And I don't mean flick the stick as in doing a lunge. I mean, it's just if you immediately press like the punch button as you immediately press, like moving backwards, obviously. But I feel like that's the way to do it. As for judging, I would just say revert it and then slowly tweak it from there. Because in all honesty, current judging is terrible. Revert to the previous judging and then slightly tweak it as you go along. I feel like would be a better way to deal with judging issues. Because the current judging, it's an abomination. I'm not even sure what they judge on. There's like fights where I clearly have outpunched my opponent, and they just, because they threw an obsessive amount of punches, the game's just like, nah, this guy wins. And it's like, sorry, but I clearly got the better punches. And for some reason, the game just decides, nah, he wins because he threw like 800 punches, or he threw like 1,000 punches and missed 50%. And it's just like, we threw a similar amount of punches per round. I don't get how he won. Especially since I was getting like more counter punches and more power punches. It just seems weird. You know, it just seems weird. But anyway, that's really all I gotta say. Like, I hope you have your own opinions. Please be civil, obviously. Like, whether you like or dislike the game, I'm pretty sure we both want the game to get better. So let's give our opinions in the comment section. What do you think could be improved? What do you think's good already? Like, give me your opinions, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Peace.